Semper Fido, treatment log for Letitia Jones, created for Social Work 641. Hi, my name is Kevin Thompson, LCSW. During my years as being a therapist, I've had the opportunity of helping many people. However, this is the story of Letitia Jones. Letitia is a 28-year-old African-American female who worked as behavioral health support for the military. She had deployed once to Afghanistan and, well, allow me to let her tell you her story. Good morning, Letitia. Thanks for coming in. Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you so much for seeing me.
It's my pleasure. To get things started, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Would that be all right?
Yeah, sure. What would you like to start with?
That's great. How about starting by telling me why you decided to come and see me today?
It was my husband's idea, actually. He kind of made me an ultimatum saying that I'm not sure how much longer I could put up with this, Tish. You really need to go see someone. I was scared that if I didn't call, he would leave me. So I picked up the phone and made an appointment.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Letitia. It sounds like there was something that probably happened prior to him giving you that ultimatum. Would you mind telling me what happened that might have caused him to say that?
I just come home from school. I take night classes to be a therapist. I figured there'd be less people at night. I mean, I rarely go as it is. But anyway, I had to come home. My husband's 8-year-old nephew was staying over while his parents were on vacation. He comes around every now and then. Anyways, he wanted to play video games, so I put on the PS3. Then I went to go make a snack. Next thing I know, I'm holding his nephew who is crying with a red mark on his arm.
Oh, I see. So to clarify, you came home from school, made a snack for your husband's nephew. Now when you said, next thing I know, did you have a moment of blacking out, or do you remember what happened between the time of making the snack and when you realized that your husband's nephew was injured?
I remember putting peanut butter on crackers. I remember bringing them into the living room, and he was playing games. He was playing Call of Duty 4.
You're doing great. Please, go on.
I remember hearing gunfire. I told him to turn it off. He didn't listen. Turn the fucking thing off! I remember grabbing the remote and hitting him in the arm.
So it sounds like he upset you when he didn't listen to you. But let's back up for a bit. You mentioned that you heard gunfire. Would you mind telling me what that means to you?
Last time I heard sounds like that was about a year ago. I was working as behavioral health support at the Helmand province of Afghanistan. I assisted the SOWK team treating service members after they experienced things like IED, sniper attacks, and other critical incidents.
Helmand province? Oh, that's where Camp Leatherneck is. You must have seen a lot while you were in there.
More than I would like to have seen. I made a lot of friends there, but I also lost a lot of friends there too.
Sounds like it was a very dangerous time for you. Would you mind sharing any specific events?
No, not right now, if that's okay.
Not a problem. We'll take it all at your pace. How has life been since your return? You mentioned that you're taking classes now. How are those going?
Life has been good. No, it hasn't. It's difficult to get any rest at night. I can't remember the last time I had a full night's rest. Then during the day, I get so tired because I can't sleep at night. And as far as school goes, I try to schedule myself for the classes, last class of the evening. I figure there won't be as many people there. Even then, I hardly ever go to school because I just don't want to be around so many people.
Well, it sounds like since your return, life has changed quite a bit for you. It sounds like your sleeping patterns are not what they used to be. Like you're having trouble sleeping. And also that crowds of people make you anxious or nervous.
Yeah, my husband says there's some nights where I keep him awake because I'll talk and scream out in my sleep. I'm afraid he's getting sick of it and may leave. Being around people is just freaking me out. Even going to the grocery store just becomes unbearable.
After a few more sessions with Letitia, I've decided to diagnose her with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder. The clinical definition for PTSD is that it's a complex disorder associated with significant comorbidity, disability, and impairment of daily living following an exposure to a traumatic event. The DSM indicates that in order for a person to be diagnosed with PTSD, they must also have the following: re-experiencing symptoms, avoidance and numbing symptoms, and hyperarousal symptoms. When it comes to re-experiencing symptoms, the patient might present with intrusive distressing thoughts, recurring bad nightmares, experiencing flashbacks, intense emotional upset at the reminder, or intense physical reactions at the reminder. Do you remember Letitia having any of these? When a patient presents with avoidance and numbing symptoms, this may manifest by the patient avoiding thoughts and feelings, activities, situations, and places. They may not be able to recall important aspects. They may also lose interest in activities, may be detached or cut off from others. They may be impaired in their range of emotions. And also, their future plans and hopes might have changed. Have you seen this or experienced this with Letitia? When it comes to the hyperarousal symptoms, your patient may indicate things like difficulty sleeping, irritable or anger outburst, difficulty concentrating. They may experience overly alertness, or they may be a jumper or easily startled, just like Letitia has been. As I said earlier, I had diagnosed Letitia with combat-related PTSD. So is there a difference between traditional victim model and combat-related PTSD? And the answer is yes. Let's go over those now. First, let's discuss the traditional victim model. First, there has to be a traumatic event that occurs. This could be either unexpected or discrete, such as in the form of a rape or child molestation. Afterwards, the victim then has a reaction to the traumatic event. This can manifest as hopelessness, helplessness, horror, and fear. After having a reaction, the victim will then present with the maladaptive symptoms we discussed earlier, those being re-experiencing, avoidance, and hyperarousal. As a result of these maladaptive symptoms, the victim's functionality then becomes impaired. We see this in their social life, their work life, their relationships, and even in things like their spirituality. Let's now discuss combat-related PTSD. First off, it needs to be noted that service members may have the same symptoms, however they may be maladaptive or adaptive. We say this because right from the start, service members have specialized training and are prepared for given situations. After proper training and preparation, the service member is then placed into a situation where they may experience a traumatic event. So they are expecting this, and it could be varied in many ways. And these events can happen multiple times, and they can be repeated throughout the time the service member is away. The reaction with combat-related PTSD is very much different than the traditional victim model. With this reaction, once the traumatic event happens, the service member's training kicks in and they go into autopilot. They know that they cannot falter, that they must still adequately perform in order to accomplish the mission objectives. After some time, the service member may present with the same symptoms as we saw in the traditional victim model, plus some other ones, such as grief, betrayal, second guessing, risk-taking, and other dominating symptoms. However, due to the military culture and structure, the service member may feel the need to mask their impairment. So while it appears that they are functioning, inside they really are suffering. There are multifarious treatments out there to ameliorate PTSD. The ones that would be used for Letitia are prolonged exposure therapy, cognitive processing therapy, couples family therapy, and one additional therapy that we'll discuss later. In Letitia's case, I felt that she would benefit from the use of canine-assisted pet therapy. Pet therapy is a safe, effective, non-pharmaceutical intervention that treats the symptoms of combat-related PTSD in veterans and service members undergoing treatment. Pet therapy has also designed to offer service members suffering from combat-related PTSD the opportunity to be integrated into critical military support missions while still receiving treatment for their psychological wounds. With pet therapy, highly skilled and trained dogs offer assistance to veterans with disabilities, the social support, and the mobility assistance they need to enhance their quality of life. Since pet therapy is based on the premise of shaping positive behaviors, the dog is first introduced to the patient and provides social interaction and quality bonding. The goal is that the dog enhances and creates a therapeutic way for the service member to ameliorate the symptoms found in patients suffering from PTSD. The objective is that the patient will engage with the dog and build a positive bond. The bonding and social interaction should result in an increase in patience, impulse control, and emotional regulation. This type of therapy also hopes to decrease the patient's emotional numbness and improves upon his or her ability to display affect, which in turn should show a decrease in depression and an increase in positive thinking and sense of purpose. Research has shown that pet therapy produces a stress buffering effect. It does this by allowing the patient to exhibit and show attachment and bonding under stressful conditions, reduces signs and symptoms of depression and stress responses. Research has also shown these positive social interactions increase the level of neurochemicals like oxytocin, beta endorphins, prolactin, and dopamine. All of these are related to stress reduction. Other indications that have not been noted as a result of pet therapy for combat-related PTSD include, but it's not limited to, improvement of sleep, decrease in pain medication, increase in assertiveness skills, and also a sense of belonging and acceptance. One strength regarding this type of intervention is the cost effectiveness. The military uses a program called Warrior Canine Connection. This program breeds and trains its own service dogs. This is especially helpful as it also circumvents the logistics in owning and keeping service dogs. Another strength that it is non-pharmaceutical method of treating the symptoms. Therefore, it decreases the risk for allergic reactions, contraindications, and side effects. However, one limitation is that this treatment only assists with ameliorating some of the symptoms of PTSD and cannot fully cure it. Mental health experts may still recommend additional types of treatment. Let's check back in with Letitia and see how she's doing. Well, thanks for making it to this meeting, Letitia. How are things going today?
Today's been a really good day for me. Why do we need to do it again? He's a little crazy.
Well, I certainly am glad to hear that, Letitia. It's been 2 months now since you have Recon, your therapy dog. Why don't you start by telling me what's been working since having him around?
I got him. I was a little scared because I never had dogs growing up. But he would always follow me around the house. And then when I sat at the dining room table or on the couch, he'd sit right next to me or on by my feet.
So it sounds like he became quickly attached to you. That's great news. So besides this beautiful day, have you taken him out in public?
Service dog, I'm allowed to take him to stores and even to school. Recon's definitely helped me when I start to get nervous in class. Then when I start to feel anxious while being around so many people, all I have to do is say, Recon, get my back. And he'll act as a boundary when people get too close. I was home alone last month with Recon. I stubbed my toe at the edge of the bed and started cussing up a storm. I was so angry. Recon comes into the bedroom, sits by my feet when I'm yelling, then looks at me with his tilted head like, what are you talking about? It was so cute. All I could do was laugh.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad to see that you're able to see the benefits of having a service dog. So how's he been at home? How are things?
My husband says I've been more relaxed, and I have been. At night when we're watching the news, I like to have Recon on the couch with us while I pet his fur. It's so calming. Oh, and I've also been able to exercise again. Before deploying, I used to run every day with my husband, and now the three of us all go for jogs together. My husband's nephew came around more often now that we have Recon. He's been more than just a service dog. He's actually part of our family.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This concludes today's presentation.